So restarts are often viewed as the third set piece, or they only tend to hear them referred to that after someone screws up after a restart, whether they drop the ball or concede a penalty. But considering how important I think it is weird how little seems to be talked about it, because it might not be the third set piece. Having looked at it and seen its importance, it might be the first set piece. Because the way we view restarts, because it's the way we kick off the game and kind of after someone scores how we restart the game, we view it as neutral and fair, but it isn't. I've looked at 588 data points of who scores after a team takes the restart, and the team kicking the restart scores 55% of the time, and that gives an expected points of about 0.76, which is quite interesting to me. And to me, I could end the video there and say, here's this interesting thing I found that changes the way we think about rugby. But I want to dive into it a little bit more and say, why does this matter and what can we do about it? So one thing that I think is fun to think about is, okay, we know the restart matters. How can we take advantage of it tactically? So these sort of purple areas are where teams normally sort of kick to. They try and kick deep towards the edge of the sideline, and then you get a chase. And yes, I am using PowerPoint animations. Well, I'm not even using PowerPoint. I'm using rip-off PowerPoint, LibreOffice Impress, to make these animations. So they might not be the most high-quality thing in the world, but hopefully it illustrates the point. So you kind of chase into these areas, and then the team exits. But can we improve on that? So one thing you might want to do is, you've got the kick chase, but you kick towards deep and the middle. Obviously what that does is if you manage to make the tackle deep in this area, well, the opposing team has to exit. And if you want to kick to the sideline, you all know all about Pythagoras' theorem, it's further to kick. And less guarantee you'll manage to sort of kick it out and clear your lines. So if you're kicking from like the middle of the pitch, that's much harder to get good distance. So you're probably going to end up with a plus position from that range. And the other reason why you want to go down the middle is a lot of teams want to exit by using the box kick. However, most teams want a box kick in that sort of 15 metre channel so they can get their fast wingers to chase it. Although if they end up box kicking from the centre, well, they kick it into sort of this area, and either they kick it really short and don't get distance on it, which means they can compete, or they kick it too long. And you can prepare for that by leaving guys back to counter-attack, which could create a great opportunity. Now, one other area that obviously you can do with the restart is you can go for a short kick. Now, well, most teams want to do this is they want to sort of, kick it up in the air, someone taps it back, and they manage to recover it. Now, I don't know if that's the best sort of strategy, unless obviously you're sort of chasing the game, it's the last play of the game, you need the ball back, then it probably makes sense to do that. But from a normal restart, I don't necessarily know if that is the best thing to do. But say, I've left it quite short here, but if you've got a better kicker, you probably could put more hang time on it. But there's a quirk in the laws that teams don't take advantage of, which I would like to see taken advantage of a lot more. And obviously, one thing in the modern game is the choke tackle. If you hold someone up off a choke tackle, where it's a scrum your ball. However, the laws say that that doesn't apply if the man is tackled immediately after catching a kick. We might think the restart is a kick. However, that only applies to kicks from open play. And I found this law, so you can see it here from the law book, and it does specify open play. And I had to go on rugby refereeing forums because I thought I was mad thinking this law exists, but it does exist. And I think it happened in the 2017 Lions Tour. It's a weird quirk in the laws that just isn't taken advantage of. But that means if you put a high kick, short kick, you can let your guys surround the ball carrier and try and choke tackle them. And it would be your scrum. Now, if you're a team with a dominant scrum, then suddenly you can win a penalty off that. You can kick 3 points or kick down into the corner. It's a tactic that might be very valuable to use. And I'd love to see teams take advantage of stupid quirks in the law. So as well as looking at restarts tactically as a potential opportunity and also a potential threat, I think it has a knock-on effect on how we make our decisions. And one of the main decisions is, should we go for the penalty or should we go for a try? And it might not be immediately apparent why, but if you think about it, after you score a try, it goes to another team getting a restart, and they get that advantage off the restart. After you score a penalty, well, the same thing happens. So a converted try is worth 7 points, and a penalty is worth 3 points. So we kind of look at it in that kind of proportion, which is about 2 1/3. 7 is worth 2 1/3 more than 3. But when you factor in the restart, the penalty becomes a lot less valuable than that. So let's say it's 0.75 points off each, and suddenly a converted try is worth 6.25 points, and a penalty is only worth 2.25 points. And if you're a team that's exceptionally bad at fielding restarts, or a team that's exceptionally good and can take advantage of a restart, that can grow. It could be 1.5 points from the restart that the other team's expecting. One of the teams that's looked at that was quite high on this, obviously, the Exeter Chiefs. I only looked at the premiership for their sort of pre-COVID from looking at this. So there's not that many data points for it, but they were looking at about 1.7 points from the restart, which is, they always go to the corner from a restart. They score a try. And I remember, I'm a Bath fan, watching Bath play them earlier in the season. They had a scrum 5 metres out, and they kick a penalty. Now, that's essentially a death sentence against Exeter, because if they're averaging 1.7 points off a restart, and Bath also scored pretty badly fielding restarts, I think it was about 2 points fielding restarts, well, that penalty is only worth a point. And this is why I'm a big advocate for kicking to the corner and going for the try in general. Because if you're not maximising your points output by kicking 3 points, you're just giving the other team an opportunity whilst not punishing them. It's quite easy to kick 3 points. Well, you give then the other side an opportunity to go down the field and get 7, especially a team like Exeter that can win a penalty straight off the restart and kick to the corner. So I hope with this that it's kind of made you look at the restart in a new way. And I'm not an expert analyst or tactician. I kind of try and look at the game through numbers, and there's things that I think are interesting about this, and I'd love to see different ways teams could try and exploit the restart. And in an ideal world, maybe if you're a coach or a player, this is giving you some really interesting ideas of how you can approach the restart and how you view things as well. So thanks very much. I'm Benjamin Sutton from the Jackal Sports, and have a good Merry Sixmas.